The Deep Space Monitoring Facility at HFY was silent except for the soft hum of quantum computers and the occasional beep from the coffee maker. Dr. Sarah Chen hadn't moved from her workstation for the past 6 hours, her eyes fixed on the pattern of signals flowing across her holographic display. Something about them wasn't right, or perhaps more accurately, they were too right. "Run it again," she muttered to her AI assistant, AI. "Focus on the mathematical constants this time." The signals had first appeared 3 weeks ago, seemingly random bursts of radiation from the direction of the Carina Nebula. But Sarah had noticed something peculiar. Hidden within the noise were perfect mathematical sequences, not just simple ones like prime numbers or the Fibonacci sequence, but complex patterns that suggested a deep understanding of quantum mechanics and higher dimensional mathematics. "Dr. Chen." Aria's calm voice interrupted her concentration. "I've completed the analysis. The signals contain embedded geometric progressions that match our current understanding of quantum field theory with 99.99% accuracy." Sarah leaned back in her chair, her heart racing. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, she might have finally found it. But something felt off about these signals. They were too perfect, too precisely aligned with human mathematical understanding. AI. Compare these patterns with all known human mathematical publications from the past century. Processing. AI responded. "No direct matches found, but there's something interesting. The mathematical language used in these signals appears to be intentionally structured to be comprehensible to human mathematical understanding." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "You're saying whatever sent these signals knew exactly how humans would interpret them?" "Correct. The probability of this occurring by chance is effectively zero." Before Sarah could process this revelation, her quantum-secure communication channel activated. Director Williams's weathered face appeared on her screen, his expression grave. "Dr. Chen, we need you in Washington. Immediately." "Sir." Sarah straightened in her chair. "Has something happened?" 20 minutes ago, we detected a massive object decelerating at the edge of our solar system. It's using the same signal pattern you've been studying." He paused, his next words carefully measured. "They're asking for you by name." The next 48 hours passed in a blur. Sarah found herself in a hastily assembled international response center, surrounded by military officials, politicians, and the world's leading scientists. The object, now identified as a vessel nearly 2 kilometers in length, had taken up position just beyond lunar orbit. Their first clear image of the ship came through the lunar observatory. Its surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, defying conventional physics. But it was the message they broadcast that changed everything. "Greetings, Dr. Sarah Chen and humanity." The transmission began, translated through Aria's quantum processors. "We are representatives of the Meridian Alliance, a coalition of spacefaring civilizations. We have been monitoring your species' development with great interest." Sarah worked tirelessly with Aria to establish a reliable communication protocol. The aliens, calling themselves the Meridians, seemed eager to share information, perhaps too eager. They spoke of peace, cultural exchange, and technological advancement. But late one night, as Sarah was reviewing the communication logs, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The Meridians' language contained subtle variations, almost like encryption keys hidden within their words. Each message seemed to carry multiple layers of meaning. "Aria, can you isolate these secondary patterns?" Sarah asked, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "Warning." Aria responded, its voice carrying an unusual note of concern. "Detecting embedded quantum entanglement signatures within the communication stream. These patterns appear to be affecting our quantum computing networks." Sarah's eyes widened as she realized the implications. The seemingly benevolent first contact wasn't just a greeting. It was the first move in a game she didn't yet understand. The Meridians hadn't chosen to contact humanity because of their mathematical signals. They had been guiding human mathematical development for centuries, preparing for this moment. As she stared at the cascading data streams, Sarah made a decision that would alter the course of human history. She began writing a new program, one that would allow her to decode the hidden layers of the Meridian's communications. But she would keep this discovery to herself. For now. HFY, she whispered, initiate Project Prometheus. Authorization code, Chen Alpha 09. Encrypt all findings with quantum key distribution. Acknowledged, HFY responded. But Dr. Chen, I should warn you. I'm detecting similar encryption patterns in historical mathematical discoveries dating back to the early 20th century. Sarah nodded grimly. I know. The question isn't whether they've been influencing us. The question is why they've chosen now to reveal themselves. She looked up at the massive display showing the Meridian vessel, its surface still shifting like mercury under the lunar light. And what they're not telling us. The first official meeting with the Meridian representatives was scheduled for the following day. As Sarah prepared her notes, she couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was standing on the edge of a precipice. They weren't just making first contact with an alien civilization. They were being drawn into a cosmic game of chess where the rules were hidden in the very mathematics they had been taught to trust. Little did she know, her discovery of the encrypted patterns would soon reveal a truth far more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. The Meridians hadn't come to help humanity join the galactic community. They had come because humanity had unknowingly developed something they desperately needed, something that could either save or destroy civilizations across the galaxy. The Meridian diplomatic vessel gleamed like polished obsidian against the stark white walls of the lunar base. Sarah stood before the airlock, her heart pounding as the atmospheric pressure equalized. Behind her, a team of Earth's top officials waited with barely concealed anxiety. The inner door slid open with a soft hiss. The being that emerged defied conventional description. Its form shifted between states of matter, sometimes crystalline, sometimes fluid, its surface reflecting impossible colors. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in Sarah's mind. Dr. Chen, I am Nexus 9, lead coordinator for the Meridian Alliance's integration protocol. The entity's form stabilized into something vaguely humanoid. We have much to discuss. Over the next several weeks, Sarah worked closely with Nexus 9 and their team, supposedly preparing humanity for integration into the galactic community. The Meridians shared carefully curated information about their alliance of 57 spacefaring civilizations, their advanced technologies, and their system of governance. But Sarah couldn't shake her suspicions. Late at night, while the base slept, she and HFY continued their secret analysis of the encrypted patterns hidden in the Meridian's communications. Cross-reference complete, HFY announced one evening. I found matching signal patterns in historical records from multiple civilizations within the Alliance. Each species shows a similar developmental trajectory before first contact. Sarah leaned forward, studying the data streams. Show me the variations. The holographic display filled with timelines, each representing a different alien civilization's technological progress. The patterns were almost identical, too identical. It's like they're following a script, Sarah muttered. Each species develops quantum mechanics at nearly the same relative time frame, discovers similar mathematical principles. She paused, noticing something odd. HFY, focus on the outliers. Show me any species that deviated from this pattern. The display flickered, and most of the timelines vanished. Only 3 remained. Accessing restricted Alliance archives, HFY reported. These 3 species showed significant developmental variations. All 3 are listed as extinct due to internal conflicts. Sarah felt her blood run cold. When did these extinctions occur? Within 5 years of their first deviation from the standard development pattern. The implications were staggering. The Meridian Alliance wasn't guiding civilizations. They were enforcing conformity through devastating consequences. A soft chime indicated someone requesting entry to her lab. Sarah quickly encrypted her findings. Come in. The door slid open to reveal Carl, a junior scientist from one of the Alliance's younger member species. Unlike the Meridians, Carol's people, the Tereth had a fixed physical form, though their iridescent scales and 4 arms still marked them as distinctly alien. Dr. Chen, Carl's inner eyelids flickered nervously. I need to show you something. Sarah had worked with Carol several times over the past weeks, finding the young alien's curiosity and enthusiasm refreshing compared to the Meridian's careful control. Now, though, Carol seemed afraid. What is it? Carol glanced around before pulling out a small crystalline device. This contains historical records from my homeworld, from before the Alliance contact. They're different from the official archives. Sarah's pulse quickened. Different how? The Alliance claims they helped us achieve quantum technology peacefully, but these records show a war. My ancestors developed their own unique approach to quantum mechanics, one that didn't follow Alliance principles. Then there was a mysterious plague, and suddenly our scientists began making breakthroughs that aligned with Alliance methods. Sarah carefully took the crystal, her mind racing. Have you shown this to anyone else? Carol's scales rippled with fear. No, Dr. Chen. Last week one of our researchers found similar discrepancies in the official records. She disappeared the next day. The Meridians said she was transferred to an advanced research facility. But you don't believe them. Sarah finished. She made a decision. Carl, I'm going to show you something, but first I need to know. How far are you willing to go to find the truth? The young alien straightened, all 4 hands forming traditional Tereth gestures of resolve. My people have a saying. Truth is worth any price. Sarah nodded and began pulling up her encrypted findings. As Carol watched, their scales shifting through shades of shock and horror, Sarah explained her discoveries about the hidden patterns, the enforced developmental trajectories, and the suspicious fates of divergent civilizations. But why? Carl whispered. Why control how species develop? I have a theory, Sarah said, pulling up a new set of data. Look at these quantum signatures we detected in the Meridian ship. They're using technology far beyond what they've shared with member species, but there's something odd about the energy patterns. Carol leaned closer, their scientific training evident in their careful analysis. These readings, they're degrading. Exactly. I think the Meridians are dying, Carl. Their technology, maybe their very existence, is failing. They're not building an alliance. They're creating a farm of civilizations, all developing along carefully controlled paths, all reaching the same technological conclusions. But humans didn't follow their path, Carl realized. You developed quantum mechanics differently. Sarah smiled grimly. We did, and I think that's why they're really here. Humanity's approach to quantum physics might hold the key to something they desperately need. A sudden alarm blared through the base. Sarah's communication panel lit up with urgent messages. Something massive was emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Multiple Alliance vessels detected, AIR reported. Energy signatures match known Meridian military craft. Sarah looked at Carol, seeing her own fear reflected in the aliens' iridescent scales. The game had changed, and they were running out of time. We need to get this information out, Sarah said, quickly copying her findings to a quantum-encrypted drive. To Earth's governments, to other Alliance species, to anyone who will listen. They'll try to stop us, Carl warned. I know, but humanity didn't come this far by backing down from a fight. Sarah grabbed her tablet and began typing rapidly. And we're about to show the Meridians exactly why they should have left us alone. The emergency bunker beneath the lunar base hummed with activity as Sarah and Carl worked frantically to decrypt more of the hidden data. Above them, 3 Meridian warships hung in lunar orbit, their presence a barely veiled threat. They're claiming it's a routine diplomatic escort, Sarah muttered, her fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. But we both know better. Carol's scales had taken on a deep blue hue of concern. The quantum signatures from their ships, they're identical to the decay patterns we found earlier, but stronger. Sarah nodded. pulling up a new analysis window. Area. Show us the comparison between Standard Alliance quantum technology and these new readings. The AI displayed two waveforms side by side. The first, representing typical Alliance tech, showed stable, controlled quantum states. The second, from the warships, was chaotic, almost desperate in its intensity. They're not just dying, Sarah realized. They're consuming quantum energy at an exponential rate. Each ship is like a hungry void, trying to devour every quantum possibility it can reach. A warning light flashed on Sarah's console. Someone's trying to access our research network. Area. Activate countermeasures. Defenses engaged. Area responded. But Dr. Chen, I'm detecting unusual patterns in the attack. They're not trying to steal data. They're searching for something specific. Sarah exchanged looks with Carl. The human quantum mechanics formed us. Carol moved to another terminal, their four hands working in perfect synchronization. Dr. Chen, look at this. I've been analyzing those historical records from my homeworld. Before the plague that redirected our quantum research, our scientists had developed a theory about consciousness and quantum states. The display showed complex equations that made Sarah's eyes widen. This is brilliant. Your people were on the verge of discovering how consciousness affects quantum probability. A discovery that disappeared from our records after Alliance contact, Carl said bitterly, along with the scientists who made it. Sarah was about to respond when ARIA interrupted. Warning. Multiple quantum fluctuations detected throughout the base. Meridian energy signatures identified. The air in the bunker began to shimmer, reality itself seeming to bend. Sarah quickly initiated their emergency protocols, quantum encryption fields springing to life around their workstation. Through the distortion, a figure emerged. Nexus 9, but different from before. Their usually smooth form was jagged, fractured, showing glimpses of something ancient and terrible beneath the surface. Dr. Chen, the Meridian's voice resonated painfully in their minds. You've accessed restricted information. This violation cannot be allowed to continue. Sarah stood her ground, even as she felt the weight of centuries pressing against her consciousness. You mean we've discovered your secret? What you really are? We are the guardians of order, Nexus 9 stated. We guide species toward correct development, prevent chaos from spreading through the quantum fabric of reality. You're parasites, Sarah countered. Ancient beings who lost their connection to the quantum foundation of existence. You force other species to develop along prescribed paths, hoping one of them will discover how to save you. The Meridian's form pulsed with dark energy. Humanity was promising. Your quantum theories showed such potential. But now you've become a threat, like all the others who strayed from the path. Carol stepped forward, scales blazing with defiance. The others you destroyed, like my people's true history. Your species was corrected, Nexus 9 said coldly, as humanity will be. Sarah felt a surge of anger. Area, execute Protocol Prometheus. The AI responded instantly, launching a program Sarah had prepared for this moment. The quantum encryption field around them pulsed, sending out a signal that made Nexus 9's form waver. What have you done? The Meridian demanded. Humanity didn't just develop different quantum theories, Sarah explained, allowing herself a grim smile. We discovered something you never could, how to weaponize quantum consciousness itself. The bunker systems began to pulse with new energy as ARIA implemented Sarah's program. Years of human quantum research, combined with Carl's recovered historical data, had led to this moment. Your ship's above us, Sarah continued. They're not just dying. They're hungry. And we've just shown every quantum-capable species in the Alliance exactly what they're hungry for, the quantum essence of consciousness itself. Nexus 9's form began to fragment. You don't understand. Without our guidance, the galaxy will fall into chaos. Species will develop in unpredictable ways. The quantum fabric itself could unravel. No, Carl said firmly. You're the ones who don't understand. Evolution, creativity, consciousness. They're meant to be unpredictable. That's what gives them power. Sarah nodded. For millennia, you've been forcing species to develop along strict, controlled paths. But humanity evolved differently. We embraced chaos, uncertainty, the quantum nature of consciousness itself. And now we're going to share that knowledge with everyone you've enslaved. The quantum field around them strengthened as ARIA began broadcasting their findings on all frequencies, encoded in ways that even the Meridians couldn't stop. Above them, the warship's energy signatures began to fluctuate wildly. "You've doomed us all," Nexus 9 whispered, their form beginning to dissolve. "No," Sarah corrected. "We've freed everyone, including you, if you're willing to learn how to exist without consuming others." As Nexus 9 faded from view, Sarah and Carol turned to their monitors, watching as their quantum revelation spread across Alliance communication channels. The revolution they'd started couldn't be stopped now. The real question was, what would a galaxy of truly free species look like? The answer, Sarah realized, was beautifully, terrifyingly uncertain. Exactly as it should be. Chaos erupted across the solar system as Sarah and Carl's revelations spread through the quantum communication network. The 3 Meridian warships above the lunar base began to pulse with unstable energy, their surfaces rippling like mercury in a storm. "Energy signatures from the Meridian vessels are becoming critical," ARIA reported. "They're attempting to initiate emergency quantum jumps, but their systems are destabilizing." Sarah watched the data streams flooding her screens, each one carrying their message of truth to different corners of the Alliance. They can't run from this anymore. The very quantum technology they use to control everyone is now working against them. Carol's scales shimmered with a mix of triumph and concern as they monitored communications from their homeworld. The Terith High Council is in upheaval. Similar reports are coming in from at least 12 other Alliance species. The quantum consciousness theories. They're awakening something in everyone who receives them. The bunker's quantum sensors suddenly spiked, readings going off the scale. Above them, the largest Meridian warship had begun to emit a deep, resonant frequency that seemed to vibrate through reality itself. They're attempting a full quantum convergence, Sarah realized, her eyes widening. ARIA analyzed that frequency. The Meridians are trying to force a collective quantum state across all the Alliance worlds, ARIA confirmed. If successful, they could theoretically override individual consciousness and restore their control. Sarah's hands flew across her console. "Not if we can help it. Carol, remember those consciousness quantum formulas your ancestors developed? We need them now." The young alien scientist quickly pulled up the recovered historical data. "Here. But Dr. Chen, these are just theoretical models. No one has ever attempted to implement them on this scale." "Humanity's good at doing the impossible," Sarah said with a grim smile. "ARIA, integrate these formulas with our quantum consciousness program, then broadcast it through the Alliance network. Piggyback it on the Meridian's own convergence signal." As they worked, reports kept flooding in. Alliance species across the galaxy were breaking free from centuries of control, their natural quantum consciousness patterns reasserting themselves. But the Meridian's convergence wave was growing stronger, threatening to overwhelm everything. "It's not just about technology anymore," Sarah muttered, studying the complex interference patterns. "This is a battle of consciousness itself, the rigid, controlled quantum states the Meridians want to enforce versus the natural chaos of evolved consciousness." Carol suddenly straightened, their scales flashing with inspiration. "Dr. Chen, look at these readings from my homeworld. The quantum convergence wave. It's being affected by mass consciousness. The more people understand what's happening, the more they resist." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Of course. The Meridians don't understand natural consciousness because they lost their own ages ago. They became pure quantum entities, trying to preserve themselves by forcing the universe to follow their patterns. But consciousness isn't about patterns. It's about choice, creativity, chaos. She quickly modified their broadcast. We don't need to fight their convergence wave. We need to show everyone how to embrace their own quantum nature. HFY. Add my voice to the transmission. Sarah took a deep breath, then spoke into the quantum network. Her words carried across the galaxy. To all species of the Alliance, you don't need to follow their patterns anymore. Your consciousness, your very existence, is quantum in nature. You're not meant to be predictable or controlled. Embrace your chaos, your creativity, your freedom to choose. The effect was immediate and stunning. Across the galaxy, billions of minds awakened to their true quantum nature. The Meridian's convergence wave began to fragment, unable to enforce order on beings who finally understood their own inherent quantum chaos. Above the lunar base, the Meridian warship's energy signatures fluctuated wildly. The largest vessel's surface began to crack, revealing the ancient quantum machinery beneath its fluid exterior. Multiple quantum breaches detected, Araya reported. The Meridian ships are losing structural integrity. They're not just losing their ships, Corell observed, watching the readings. Their entire basis for existence is breaking down. Without controlled quantum states to feed on, they can't maintain their form. The largest Meridian ship suddenly erupted in a spectacular quantum cascade, its ancient form dissolving into pure energy. The other two vessels began to follow, their surfaces fracturing to reveal glimpses of technology so old it defied comprehension. But amidst the chaos, something unexpected happened. As the Meridian ships broke apart, their energy didn't dissipate, it transformed. The quantum essence of these ancient beings, freed from the rigid patterns they'd trapped themselves in, began to evolve into something new. They're changing, Corell whispered, scales shifting to colors Sarah had never seen before. The quantum consciousness theories. They're affecting the Meridians too. Sarah watched in amazement as the energy coalesced into new forms, neither solid nor liquid, neither conscious nor unconscious, but something in between. The Meridians weren't dying. They were finally, after eons of stagnation, evolving. Send a message to Earth Command, Sarah told ARI. Tell them the war is over. But the real revolution is just beginning. As the transformed Meridian entities drifted in lunar orbit, Sarah and Carol looked at each other, understanding the magnitude of what they'd unleashed. The galaxy was awakening. Species everywhere were discovering their true quantum nature, and the age of controlled evolution was over. The question now was, what would they all become? 3 months after the quantum revolution, the lunar base had been transformed into an interstellar diplomatic center. Representatives from dozens of formerly controlled Alliance species gathered to discuss their newfound freedom and the rapidly evolving galaxy. Sarah stood at the observation deck, watching the transformed Meridian entities dancing through space like aurora borealis. Since their metamorphosis, they had become something entirely new, conscious quantum energy patterns that communicated through pure thought and possibility. Still trying to understand them, Carl asked, joining her at the window. The Tereth scientists' scales now shifted through colors that hadn't existed before the revolution, a visible sign of their species' expanding consciousness. Understanding might be the wrong goal, Sarah replied. The whole point is to embrace uncertainty, isn't it? The door behind them slid open as ARIA announced, "The first session of the Quantum Concordat is about to begin." The main conference chamber was filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Some appeared in physical form, others as quantum projections, and some existed in states that defied traditional description. The atmosphere crackled with possibility. Literally, as quantum probability waves rippled through the room. Sarah took her place at the speaking platform, still somewhat uncomfortable with her role as a catalyst for galactic change. But humanity's unique perspective on quantum consciousness had earned them a special position in this new order. 3 months ago, we broke free from patterns that had constrained galactic development for millennia, she began. Since then, we've seen changes that would have been impossible under the old regime. Species are evolving along their own paths, developing technologies and abilities that the Meridians would have suppressed. She gestured to a holographic display showing data from across the galaxy. The Tereth have integrated their ancient quantum consciousness theories with their biological nature, achieving a level of quantum biological synthesis never seen before. The Venn Collective has developed entirely new forms of faster-than-light travel based on probability manipulation. And humanity, we're just beginning to understand our own potential. A representative from the Venn Collective, their form a complex lattice of crystalline thought, spoke up. But with this freedom comes risk. Already we see quantum anomalies forming in regions of space where different evolutionary paths intersect. That's true, Sarah acknowledged. The Meridians weren't entirely wrong about the dangers of unrestricted quantum development, but they were wrong about the solution. Control and conformity aren't the answer. Adaptation and cooperation are. Carol stepped forward, their scales rippling with purpose. We've established quantum monitoring stations throughout the galaxy, not to control, but to observe and understand. When anomalies form, we study them, learn from them, adapt to them. This is how evolution should work. One of the transformed Meridian entities drifted into the chamber, its presence causing quantum ripples that everyone could perceive. Since their change, the former controllers had become something like cosmic observers, watching and learning from the chaos they had once feared. We remember, the entity communicated directly into their minds, its thoughts carrying echoes of ancient knowledge. We remember what we were before fear drove us to control. We remember the joy of uncertainty, the thrill of discovery. We forgot these things, trying to preserve ourselves through stasis. Now we learn again. Sarah nodded, understanding finally what the Meridians had lost and were now rediscovering. That's why we're here today. Not to establish new rules or controls, but to create frameworks for cooperation. Each species will develop in their own way, but we'll face the challenges together. The chamber hummed with quantum possibility as representatives shared their experiences and visions for the future. Some species were developing along technological paths, others were exploring biological evolution, and some were transcending traditional definitions of existence entirely. There will be problems, Sarah continued. Conflicts between different quantum states, unexpected interactions between evolving technologies, maybe even tears in the fabric of space-time itself. But we'll face them with creativity and consciousness, not control and conformity. As if to emphasize her point, a subtle quantum tremor rippled through local space, one of the anomalies they'd been monitoring. But instead of causing panic, representatives from 3 different species immediately began collaborating, their combined consciousness working to understand and adapt to the phenomenon. This is what the Meridians never understood, Carl observed. True stability doesn't come from enforcing patterns. It comes from the dynamic balance of multiple patterns interacting, adapting, evolving. Sarah smiled, watching the representatives work. Humanity had indeed triggered a revolution, but not the kind anyone had expected. They hadn't just freed the galaxy from control, they'd helped it remember how to grow. The transformed Meridian entity pulsed with what felt like appreciation. We see now what we could not see before. The pattern we sought to preserve was never meant to be fixed. The pattern is change itself. As the session continued, Sarah looked out at the assembled representatives. Physical, energy, quantum, and forms beyond description. The galaxy was messy now, unpredictable, full of challenges and possibilities. Species were developing in ways that would have been impossible under the old regime. Quantum consciousness was expanding in directions no one could have foreseen, and that, she realized, was exactly how it should be. The future wasn't a pattern to be controlled, but a probability wave of infinite possibility. They had freed the galaxy not just from the Meridian's control, but from the very concept of controlled evolution itself. As she watched a group of younger species excitedly sharing their latest discoveries, Sarah knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them with the greatest powers in the universe, consciousness, creativity, and the courage to embrace chaos itself. The quantum revolution wasn't over. In many ways, it was just beginning.